what point in your life did you know you wanted to be a chiropractor?
I think I always knew I wanted to help people. And at one point it was a toss-up between chiropractic and speech pathology. And I do remember thinking, like, what would the workforce or what would placement look like? And even though not all speechies deal with, say, for example, post-stroke wards, I thought if I did a placement where, unfortunately, no matter what you do, some people are just not going to have good outcomes, and it might have absolutely nothing to do with what you've done in practice. I'm a bit too empathetic, and I don't think I would be able to detach myself that much to, or would I want to be able to develop the compartmentalization to not have that kind of affect me. So I'm a bit of a emotional gangster sometimes. I think I definitely wanted to have more of a connection with patients, but then I don't think I have it in me to see really heavy stuff all the time every day. And then my dad took me to his chiropractor, and yeah, he just sold me the dream. He's like, it's the best job ever. It's like you're on a holiday and you get to catch up with your favorite people every day. What's not to love? And I think that was an additional thing that kind of pushed me over. But I generally have too much ants in my pants to be able to do a completely sedentary job. Looking at, a computer all day, I'm a bit too wriggly for that kind of work. So healthcare and being able to help people is definitely my calling, I would say.
Amazing. Since you mentioned it, and I was going to talk about it a little bit later, but since you mentioned sitting at a computer all day, what do you think? Because I'm a little bit of a, I do sit at my computer all day, and I have done for 35 years, but I am the tech person normally when I go into a business. And when I see people sitting at a laptop, and I see it a lot, I see a lot of people without, like, you can't see on my screen, but I've got screens everywhere, and because I'm sitting here all day, I'm very aware of the way that I need to sit, and I get lots of sore neck problems. And so, I need to clearly
maintain that and make those changes.
Yeah. But I see it a lot. I see it when I go into businesses and people are just using their laptop at a desk. And no, I'm quite happy. And I just think, oh my gosh, I can't see that. And so, we have a guide for how people should sit that we will often give to our clients. But what do you see mostly on your side of, when I haven't been able to help people fix the way that they're sitting and they have to come to you?
And you know what? It doesn't always have to be the really expensive chair and the really expensive setup. However, I would say if you can make those small modifications. So with that example of laptop use, everyone is bringing their body down to the laptop. And the tricky thing is, because you've got to type, it's often us compensating to look down to where the screen is, which is attached. So what I would just say is if you can get a wireless keyboard, that way you can still prop your laptop up and then still have your elbows and your wrists in a neutral position, which will save you lots of aches long term. But it's also about that variety of movement. So we know that being sedentary is just as much of a lifestyle risk as now smoking is. It's just as dangerous being sedentary compared to if you're a smoker. So what I would say from that is making sure that you've got those frequent little rest and stretch breaks. So even if you're locked in the zone, perhaps there's something where you're reading and you don't necessarily have to type simultaneously, but you can still look at your screen, get up, stand up, do a little lap around your chair and then sit back down. And often that is enough to kind of reset our body. So that whole every 2 hours, do a 15-minute break. Yes, that is still part of it, but we also now know that we want micro breaks. So every 15 to 20 minutes, we should be getting up. And even though you are, for example, at your desk a lot for your work is also social by nature. So when you are in a team, perhaps there's a reason to go and have a little bit of a stretch break or go and get a cup of coffee or tea, or even though you've never had coffee, but you go and get something, whether it's water. That's just not your caffeine of choice, right?
I had one and I didn't like the taste, and then it literally made me want to run around the block for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, yeah,
So
the main thing is just those little tweaks, even if it's as simple as getting that wireless keyboard so that your wrists are neutral and your eyes are at a level. That is also going to really help. And things like, split screens, for example, if you have a dominant screen, are you then actually having the dominant screen centralized? Or if you're quite even with those two screens, is it in the middle? Or are you finding yourself rotating constantly to one side more than the other? Could you perhaps move it a little bit so that you get a variety there? Another cheap alternative, I'm actually sitting on one right now, is you can get something like this, which is, for those that are listening, it's a balance air cushion. So it's almost like a disc basically, but it will feel like you're sitting on a gym ball without committing to some gym balls are quite low. So even if you were hypothetically going to sit on a gym ball, sometimes that height is still not right. So something like that is also great because it gives your core a little bit of an unstable surface to switch on, which naturally improves your posture. But then that also increases your concentration. So when I used to have a 4-hour theory exam for some of that postgraduate stuff, I would bring my disc with me so I would be able to sit down and still being able to concentrate and be efficient for those periods of time.
So where do you get those from?
You can get them at Kmart. I mean, I need shares in Kmart.
Oh, wow.
You can get them at Kmart. I think it also includes the pump.
Wow.
And I think they're like potentially even under the $20 mark. So they're often actually
I feel like I'm
outdoor.
almost about to make a note.
Yeah, they're almost there. They used to live in the gym section of Kmart, but now they are more in the outdoor kids play section because it's also great for little wriggly kids that find it really hard to stay still in a class setting. So they can either sit on them or put them on the floor and they put their feet on it. So if they're fidgeting, it's something that they can do without being too visually distracting for others in a group environment.
Wow. Huh. So I'm talking about that this morning about all right. So I feel like I need to pause the podcast so that I can make a note to go and tell everybody to get somebody to order one for everybody in our team.
Do a one pass free shipping situation. Yeah.
Well, I was particularly interested in that it helps you concentrate better. That part. And I understand that because we were having a conversation at a meeting that I was at this morning about in the olden days where in school you just had to sit down and shut up and be quiet and listen to the teacher, which is just not the way that most people learn. And that now they're allowed to have fidget spinners and they can even have balls to bounce to kind of keep the one part of their brain regulation that they're actually learning. And that is exactly. So that's kind of tied in. That's a very interesting conversation. Okay, mental note to order everybody a cushion to sit on. So we do have, we kind of have nice office chairs, but particularly also people working at home a lot. So in our office, everybody has double monitors and we're all sitting properly. We've got the proper chairs. But when you go home to work, often it's a different situation again, right? So
it's your low, it's your deep couch, which also kind of forces you to be in that slump position as well. So I would say instead, the dinner table is often the option. And for those that find that uncomfortable, my next suggestion is to fold up a towel and put it on the back half of your chair because that will actually elevate your bottom higher than your knees. And that will also be great because that whole 90-degree situation is now outdated. So we actually do know that now we want to have our bottom elevated compared to our knees. And by just getting a towel, I mean, we have so many at home, by getting your towel and folding that up and putting that on the bony part of your bottom, just at the back half of the chair, that's enough to also help take that ache and pain out of it, right? Like when we go to my daughters or both my kids, when they have swimming lessons, they have a section where you've got the wooden bench option, which would be the same for people that potentially catch up with some friends at a pub or whatnot, or the same as, for people that sit in church pews. That whole wooden 90-degree sitting makes it really hard for people to be able to sit down for extended periods of time. So, yeah, just bring a towel, fold it up, and that will take a lot of the bite out of the ergonomics for those things. Yeah.
Or your fancy little round cushion.
Yes,
being a mum of basketball players, I've sat on many a square bench for quite a long period of time,
and it will just unearth. Yeah, and it will just unearth all those little injuries as well. Yeah.